Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hello.
We're looking at new Rockstars Marvel What If, Episode 3 breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you missed. Thank you, new Rockstars, for allowing us to react to this. Very much appreciated. Very much looking forward to getting this unpacked and having us educated by you. You guys, if you haven't already subscribed to new Rockstars, there's a link in the description below to click on the original video, which we're about to look at if you want to give that original an upvote and subscribe to new Rockstars from there. Also, please vote this up and subscribe to this channel. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Marvel's What If Episode 3, in which the Avengers get a taste of another kind of vengeance that ends up popping the Hulk like a zit.
That was gross.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, I thought that was gnarly and nasty. I did not want that.
Yeah, that was really, really gross.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back through this episode frame by frame for all the Easter eggs and hidden animation details that you might have overlooked. We open on Monday. This episode uses days of the week to structure its 5 acts because this is what's known in the Marvel timeline as Fury's Big Week, in which the events of Iron Man 2, Hulk, and Thor all take place at the same time, based off of some newsreel footage that we saw at the end of Iron Man 2 and a line in Iron Man 2 about Coulson headed off to New Mexico. Fury drives with Natasha Romanoff.
There was an idea to bring together a group of
remarkable people to see if they could become something more. I know, I've heard the speech.
Samuel L. Jackson is back as Fury. Natasha is actually voiced by Lake Bell. This is, of course, his Fury's big speech that he uses to rally Cap and Tony after Coulson's death in the 2012 Avengers film.
There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more. See if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that we never could.
Natasha's pointed finger lines up perfectly with the reflection of Tony sitting in the donut. This shop is Randy's Donuts in Los Angeles, but the framing of most of the shots here kind of frames out the Randy's, including the windows in the interior shots. Though, as they pull up in the car, you can see the RA at the top of the donut there. All of the framing and music and dialogue here is mirrored from Iron Man 2.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to exit the donut.
Though in the movie, on the sidewalk was 3:16 for John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Which, as a detail in Iron Man 2, I always liked as a reflection of that movie's father and son themes, with Howard Stark offering his only son, Tony, as this sacrificial savior of humanity. But 3:16 does not appear here, maybe as a way of showing that in this universe, Tony Stark never gets the chance to be that savior.
That's wild.
Do you really think that was deliberate that they left that out?
I don't know. I almost feel like this is me going, well, it's LA and there's graffiti and stuff everywhere.
That might have been something overlooked.
Could it just be that it was something that some rando just wrote on the ground?
Oh, that's possible. It's possible that it was just a random coincidence, but Marvel is generally very specific about the details in the frame. However, I'm wondering if this was just something that was overlooked or if it was deliberately left out so as to indicate a different idea. The part about the Randy being taken out of the logo was, I think, them just trying to save money and not have to pay licensing again.
Sure, yeah.
As he does in the movie, Tony says,
I told you, I don't want to join your super secret boy band.
Now, Tony is voiced here not by Robert Downey Jr., but by Mick Wingert, who has actually voiced Tony Stark in a number of Marvel animated titles. He sounds almost exactly like Robert.
He did, in that cafe moment, he did sound almost exactly like him.
Downey Jr. Fury points to the palladium poisoning on Tony's neck, and he says,
You become a problem I have to deal with. Contrary to your belief, you are not the center of my universe.
Now, this line in the movie flows directly into a reference to the events in Thor.
You have become a problem I have to deal with. Contrary to your belief, you are not the center of my universe. I have bigger problems than you in the Southwest region to deal with.
But Fury here never gets to that because Natasha's lithium dioxide injection causes an adverse reaction that kills Tony. Now, Natasha in the movie said,
It's not a cure, it just abates the symptoms.
Which she says here, but draws out the line as she realizes Tony is dying.
It's not a cure. It just abates the symptoms.
Stark, you okay?
Fury looks down at Tony in shock and he cross-dissolves into the Watcher. The slideshow takes us through memorable shots from Fury's big week in the movies. Tony's hiding his poisoning and fighting Whiplash in Monaco. Bruce Banner emerging from some Hulk wreckage. Though, notice they changed Banner's appearance to look more like Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, fun fact, Tony's fight with Whiplash was actually shot very close to here. They built this whole studio right between Sherman Oaks and Encino at that freeway exit off of Haskell.
Oh.
They built this huge thing, and I was like, what the hell is that? And someone who was in the car with me at the time said, oh yeah, they're shooting Iron Man over there. And that was the scene that they were shooting. Like, they just built this whole studio just for those fights. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's cool.
Banner emerging from some Hulk wreckage, though notice they changed Banner's appearance to look more like Mark Ruffalo, who was recast as the character after Ed Norton played him in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Just kind of erasing Ed Norton's whole appearance from the cinematic universe, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then some images from the Battle of New York a couple years after that, Clint and Natasha fighting Chitauri, Hulk smashing Loki, and the Avengers lining up. Then we catch up with Agent Bill Coulson, Clark Gregg, returning to voice in this episode. He finds Mjolnir in the same framing from that Iron Man 2 post-credit scene. Meanwhile, at the Project Pegasus base, the SHIELD strike unit detains Natasha.
I may not have been a fan of Tony Stark, but I didn't kill him.
Save your spin for Pierce. We want you in New York first thing for questioning.
Frank Grillo returns to voice Brock Rumlow here, future Crossbones. He references Pierce, aka World Security Council Secretary Alexander Pierce, Robert Redford's character from Captain America Winter Soldier and Avengers Endgame. And on the right of that unit is Rollins, Callan Mulvey's character from Rumlow's group. Just like how Steve Rogers takes down this same unit in a confined space in Captain America Winter Soldier, Natasha does the same. As she repeatedly jabs a guy in the jaw, you can see little dribbles of spit flying out. There's just some really fun animation direction on Natasha's combat, staying on her use of her right leg. First to knee a guy, then without stepping down to kick a guy behind her, then keeping the leg up, hooking over to another guy, and then bringing that heel back on the guy behind her. And then only now, after changing her balance, she finishes with a simultaneous punch kick.
I thought that fight was actually well staged for animation. It can go either way. It can just feel too fantasy-like or visceral, and there it felt visceral, and they did a good job of making it feel that way.
Yeah.
In terms of the way the animation, like the speed at which it was animated, in terms of the camera design and all that stuff, I thought that they did a really, really good job of making it feel impactful.
Rumlow realizes she's escaped.
Oh, come on!
Yeah, the animation on the mouths while characters talk in this show is a little non-specific. So in this case, it looks like Rumlow is about to make the F consonant, like, come on. And then back at the Mjolnir site in Puente Antiguo, New Mexico, a term that in Spanish translates to ancient bridge, an Easter egg that was in Thor, referencing this being a connection point to the ancient Bifrost
Yeah, that
Bridge.
makes sense.
Hawkeye Clint Barton, voiced by Jeremy Renner, says,
Also, no one can lift it. Not even Jackson. And he does CrossFit.
yeah, Agent Jackson was actually one of the SHIELD agents at this site in the Thor film, played by Jamie McShane.
Clancy Jackson, West Side Perimeter. Go check it out.
Now, to be clear, this Fury and Hawkeye are not the same universe ones who ended episode 1 when Captain Carter arrived through the portal. In that reality, Steve Rogers never went down into the ice with that shield, whereas that was his fate in this universe, as we learn in the final scene. Coulson thinks Thor's hot.
He's a Caucasian male, mid-20s, with really great hair.
Excuse me?
Description. Sir, he's gorgeous.
And as Thor struts toward Mjolnir, he tosses his wet hair, similar to how Chris Hemsworth did during these scenes in the movie. The animators also gave Thor super blonde eyebrows with no dark borderlines to outline them as a way of evoking Hemsworth's weirdly bleached eyebrows in that movie. Glad they stopped doing that in the MCU. Now in the film, it was Coulson who ordered Hawkeye to hold. Fury wasn't actually here because Coulson wanted to see if Thor could lift the hammer. Now it is Fury, but before Thor gets the chance, Clint slips and lets the arrow fly in the bolt of lightning. Ironically, the force of nature that should have empowered the God of Thunder.
Right.
Fury and Coulson appreciate Thor's corpse.
Wow. Even while rotting, he smells like lavender.
Really?
Similar to how the Guardians of the Galaxy sniffed and drooled over his incapacitated body in Infinity War.
Yeah.
This is a man. A handsome, muscular man.
On to Culver University in Virginia, the setting of the battle in the 2008 Hulk movie. Betty Ross is voiced by Stephanie Penicello, and she's wearing the same clothes Betty wears in that movie, including her mother's necklace. That in the movie she pawns, and Banner later returns to her. Betty helps Natasha realize that nanotech interfered with the syringe, a clue of course pointing to Pimtech, and then on the table Natasha sees a hat and jacket for Stanley's Pizza Parlor.
Oh,
that was
wow.
a restaurant in the movie where Banner works, run by Stanley Lieber. His name a nod to Stan
Right,
Lee.
yeah.
He's played by actor Paul
I didn't
Soles.
catch that.
Who voiced Bruce Banner in the 60s animated series, The Marvel Superheroes. On Fury's screen during the call are files of all the Avengers candidates: Clint Barton, Thor, Tony Stark. On the left, Bruce Banner, Hulk. And above him, a female I thought was Natasha, but that's actually the same file photo of Janet Van Dyne that later appears on the S.H.I.E.L.D. servers. So the answer to Fury's mystery was right there in front of him the whole time. The death/disappearance of his OG Avenger that led to her daughter working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And when she died, her father, Hank Pym, losing it. Bruce Banner emerges from the closet, voiced by Mark Ruffalo.
No need for violence, Agent Romanoff. That's probably not gonna work out. For anyone.
And the Watcher watches Coulson drive out to the New Mexico site where an Asgardian army led by Loki arrives.
They look like they're from Earth?
Maybe Middle Earth?
Coulson naturally is into Lord of the Rings. Loki, voiced by Tom Hiddleston, of course, orders.
You would do best to kneel before a god.
Just like he ordered the Germans to kneel! And when he tried to force the Mongolians to kneel to him in Loki episode 1. And he introduces himself.
I am Loki, Crown Prince of Asgard, the rightful king of Jotunheim, and god of mischief.
Yeah, crowned king of Asgard, but rightful king of Jotunheim. This would mean that had Thor died in the first Thor film, Loki would have been unchallenged in seizing the throne, though at this point in the narrative, he has not yet taken Jotunheim. Odin's probably still in his Odin sleep, which Lady Sif, voiced by Jamie Alexander, seems to indicate.
He's not wrong. The All-Father would want us to listen.
Also among Loki's ranks are the Warriors 3, Volstagg, Fandral, and Hogun, and in the far background, the Asgardian Destroyer armor, which Fury chats with later. Loki uses the Casket of Ancient Winters to freeze Fury's forces. He actually found this in Odin's vault in the Thor film, in the scene where Odin confirmed to him his frost giant lineage, and Loki later used this against Heimdall during his coup of Asgard. But real quick, thanks to our sponsor, The Walking Dead No Man's Land.
Since Eric Voss is advertising, I thought I'd really quick shout out our own What If breakdown that Sintel did. It's more of a TLDR version of this. Very, very quick, and he points out a couple of different things, at least as it's indicated so far, and I think you guys would enjoy it.
Bruce and Natasha appear on the campus crosswalk bridge where Banner is cornered in the movie. General Thaddeus Ross appears, voiced by Mike McGill, and Banner turns into the Hulk, and Natasha dives out, sticking her famous landing pose that Yelena Belova made fun of her for in Black Widow. Now, I like how this version of the Hulk uses design elements from both the 2008 Ed Norton film, like the longer, shaggier hair, but also the 2012 Ruffalo redesign, like the humanistic expressions in the face, also chest hair. And I honestly think they kept those sympathetic Ruffalo features to make this even more shocking.
Still nasty.
God! Now, it is largely so disturbing because of Hulk's confused facial expressions as he suffocates his own inflating flesh. And I hate to do this, but if you show Hulk's inflation frame by frame, his neck and cheeks cram into his traps in his chest, and the explosion points burst out from the creases between his muscles as they squeeze together. Now,
why are you doing this to me?
Is green smoke, I assume because Disney might have felt uneasy with fluids or wet tissue or bone or guts, but you could also see this as a kind of blood mist as Hank Pym's tech vaporizes him from the inside out. Yeah, this frame-by-frame stuff ain't as fun when the imagery ain't so Disney. Now, Natasha calls Coulson to get his password to log into the S.H.I.E.L.D. server.
Hashtag Steve, I heart Steve, 0704.
Wow. Good one, Coulson.
Yes, a reminder of Coulson's fan crush on Steve Rogers, with 0704 being Steve's birthday of July 4th. Natasha brings up files on Bill Coulson, Nick Fury, Janet Van Dyne.
I remember that he was born on July 4th. Like, what a day to be
I know,
born
right? It's like, I'm Captain America, and I'm born on Independence Day.
Maria Hill and Alexander Pierce, but Janet is listed as deceased. And then over in the left corner, you can see her file was accessed recently, along with those other active members at 11:23 the day before. And then the camera cuts back to Natasha as she realizes who accessed this, quote, a woman who died 2 years ago, referring to Janet's daughter of Hope.
Fury, it's Hope! It's all about Hope!
And Fury listens to this voicemail in Isabella's Diner, the town eatery in the 2011 Thor film. Coulson quotes the Avengers Initiative speech to Fury, and he shows him the memo that was written by Fury, perhaps part of the paperwork that Fury originally drafted in that final scene of Captain Marvel. And that could be why Fury now retrieves the Captain Marvel pager that was boosted with Kree tech that he and Danvers agreed that they would use to summon her at the end of the Captain Marvel film, and of course he later used in the Infinity War post-credit scene. The Watcher also oversees this misty cemetery in San Francisco. Now in Avengers Endgame, a memorial was set up overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge on Crissy Field on the city side of the bay, but in this shot the city is in the background, meaning this cemetery would be on the other side of the bridge in Marin County. Fury, or who we think is Fury, approaches the grave of Hope Van Dyne.
If it isn't Hank Pym.
Yeah, we hear a little insect buzz there for Hank Pym in his yellow jacket armor, which Natasha might have been able to hear ever so softly in the library earlier. Michael Douglas returns.
I initially thought that was just computer noise.
Balls, you have to come here and stand over her grave.
And yeah, Pym was wearing the Yellow Jacket suit. In the comics, Hank Pym was the first to suit up as Yellow Jacket after he left the Ant-Man mantle. Not really a good guy in the 80s comics. Now, of course, Fury is very much out of character.
I had read a comment about that where they were like, oh, it's a good thing that they didn't really delve so deep into certain aspects of Yellow Jacket, aka
the woman beater?
Yeah.
The wife beater?
The wife beater aspect. At home abuse.
Oh, I'll give it a chance, but I can't read what's behind the thing. When it starts going badly,
I'll summon Sal with this remote activator, discreetly, of course.
He'll attack all of us, including me, and he'll be winning, beating us. Then at just the right moment, I'll blast his weak spot at him.
Hank, no! You can't go through with this! Hank, listen to me, please!
I can't let you.
I can't let you!
Shut up! I've got to do this. I've got to save Tuesday. What does that say? The day right before their eyes.
Oh!
Don't you see? It's my only chance to redeem myself. It's the only way. And she's like dead.
Down.
She looks sexy as she's going down.
Yeah, she's like in her little negligee.
Who'd have thought?
In the 80s comics. Now, of course, Fury is very much out of character.
I doubt she'd mind, considering she's dead. Her mother was an agent? I don't give a damn about any of them.
Yes, this irreverence comes from him actually being Loki, disguised as Fury, which is why the only time his tone shifts to serious is when he asks about Thor.
And what of Thor, Prince of Asgard?
Now, Fury responds,
Agent Hope Van Dyne was killed on a mission outside Odessa, Ukraine.
Odessa. Now, as I went into an Inside Marvel, Odessa could refer to that SHIELD mission that Natasha Romanoff went on, where she ran into the Winter Soldier.
5 years ago, I was escorting a nuclear engineer out of Iran. Somebody shot out my tires near Odessa, but the Winter Soldier was there, so he shot him straight through me.
But in this reality, Hope Van Dyne could have been Fury's go-to Avenger to go on such missions before he would take his big swings on Natasha Romanoff. But whereas Natasha survived the Winter Soldier's bullet, Hope did not. Hank reveals it was he in Natasha's syringe, he who loosened Clint's fingers to release the arrow, in a moment evoking when Scott Lang clung to Hawkeye's arrow in Civil War. It was Hank Pym who buzzed into Clint's ear and mushed up his brain. And it was Hank Pym who threw a resizing disc like the ones we've seen Ant-Man use on Hulk's heart, which caused it to enlarge separate from the rest of his body.
I didn't know what that was.
I guess pump out blood at a faster rate than his other glands and muscles could adjust for. What a way to go! I guess since Hulk
why is he showing this?
His anger, something that would be linked to his heart rate, I guess this could happen. It's just upsetting that Hank Pym would know to do this because Hulk is supposed to be invulnerable, even to internal projectiles. Like Banner in Avengers says that he put a gun in his mouth and Hulk spit out the bullet. But I guess that doesn't apply to magical Pym tech applied to internal organs, using Hulk's own powers against him. Between this and Pym particles having time travel capabilities, anyone with Pym tech is potentially the deadliest killer in the MCU, and apparently this does answer the age-old question of what would happen if Ant-Man flew up inside Thanos' booty hole and decided to enlarge.
Apparently Paul Rudd loved that idea, according to his guest appearance on Hot Ones.
What do you make of the Ant-Man kills Thanos by crawling up his butt meme?
I consider it a lost opportunity.
Fury deftly swats away Hank, he blocks his blows, he evades his lasers, and he uses duplication projection, of course revealing himself as the God of Mischief. And I like how the reveal uses this mix of Samuel L. Jackson's laughter with Tom Hiddleston's laughter, because Nick Fury would not be laughing maniacally in this moment, Loki would.
I gotta say, Loki looks insane.
Yeah, he looks diabolical.
His expression is so crazy.
It's just kind of fun, like seeing Chris Evans do an impression of Loki, do an impression of him. Loki, in a not at all surprising twist, takes over the planet, marches into the UN, and makes his big speech to the world.
It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom hobbles you, diminishes your life's joy.
Of course, this is Loki's speech to the Germans from Avengers.
It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy.
Actually, in Times Square, the chyron over there on the left reads, Green Explosion at Culver. Yeah, if that's what you want to call it. There's also a Coffee Tree Cafe, billboards for Bulgarian, Olympia the musical. But then on the far right, an ad for Pingo Dolce. That was the juice from the 2008 Hulk film that Banner led into the bottling plant and got random people sick, including Stan Lee. Fury and Coulson look over the row of coffins containing the Avengers remains. I don't know what you put in there for Hulk, but each are draped with their logo, Iron Man's helmet, Thor's hammer, Hawkeye's shield and Zero, Hulk's fist, and Black Widow's hourglass. But there's only 5 because there's one Avenger left still frozen in ice, and Fury wipes away that frost from Cap's shield.
Welcome back, Captain.
So, where's the fight?
Yes, Captain Marvel's glow reflects on Fury's face, similar to the way it did on Tony Stark's face when she rescued him in Endgame. Carol here is voiced by Alexandra Daniels, and she's wearing the red on blue suit that she wore at the end of Captain Marvel, as opposed to the one with the gold trim that she wore when she met with the Avengers at the start of Endgame. Or the blue-topped one on the other side of the blip in Endgame. So whenever her first costume change occurred, it would have happened closer to the modern era. I would be curious to see a new Avengers lineup co-captained by Steve Rogers and Carol Danvers, especially for what light this could shed on Carol's mystery backstory with Monica Rambeau, something alluded to a few times in WandaVision and expected to be explored in the Marvels. Support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options, including our Marvel What If limited edition shirt. I love this. Over at newrockstarsmerch.com.
That was thorough. That was informative.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
There were certainly Easter eggs in there where I'm like, whoa, that was a very, very cool callback, like the soda. I'm like, I would have never seen that. Are the people at Marvel, when they do this, how much of an expectation is there that someone's actually going to catch this and link it to one of the MCU films? Is it stuff that was specifically designed with New Rockstars and their ilk in mind? These are the things that make me so curious. Like, why are they putting in these details, you know?
I think it's a mixture of both, right? Because I am sure that there is someone whose job it is to keep track of all these details. Like, I know when writers do, like, write epic fantasy chronicles, they often have an assistant or someone, or they have some sort of filing system where they're like,
to keep them in check.
This character has this happened here, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm sure there's someone who was responsible for props or something like that for every single movie, and like it's like, this happened here, this is what we have in this scene and whatnot. And so they can just, hopefully, I hope it's something organized, like like an Excel spreadsheet or something that you can go into, or like some papers or whatever.
I'm sure there's a job title over there at Marvel called like the Marvel Librarian or something.
The Marvel Continuity Expert, something like that.
There's got to be a bunch of them in order to just keep everything cohesive. My question is though, like when the animators are putting that detail in there, isn't there an expectation, at least to some degree, that 99% of people who watch this will never see that detail or connect it?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
But how exciting and how fulfilling is it when someone like Eric Voss or, Uber fans watch the episodes frame by frame over and over again and then catch all of the little things like
Cosmic Wonder, 3C films.
Yeah, like
all of them. Heavy spoilers.
All of those people, and not even people who make videos on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Just everyday people who are like, oh, I remember that's a cool callback. It makes you feel special.
Right. The Stanley's Pizza thing is something I did not catch, definitely. They showed the Hulk explosion at least 17 times.
I know. That was like the most distressing part of this episode.
Am I watching the Suicide Squad or a What If breakdown? What the hell's going on?
Right?
It was so violent. Stop showing it to me.
It was super duper gross. And this whole episode, was kind of like a murder mystery or something. It was very distressing to watch all of the heroes that we've known and loved for so long just die like that.
This is unrelated, and I'm surprised that Eric Voss didn't talk about it. Maybe there's a reason he didn't talk about it because it's nonsensical. But that diner scene with Tony Stark, low-key reminded me of Pulp Fiction, because it's just like the last 40 minutes of Pulp Fiction was a diner scene with Sam Jackson.
Right.
So it's just like, how can you not see the connection there? But maybe there's like an Eric Voss video on that Iron Man film that, dives into it. Both in Sintel's breakdown and in this, they basically said that Edward Norton is erased.
Yeah.
Right? And Sintel had said that Disney was mad at Edward Norton and didn't forgive. And I don't know what Edward Norton did that was so upsetting.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Okay.
I don't remember
if
that.
someone wants to comment on that, or I can just look it up. But it's just interesting because it seemed like an opportunity to bring him back because of the whole multiverse thing. It's like, well, why not just have him,
What about Eric Bana? We just cancel Eric Bana too?
I didn't even think about that. No, but the scenes are pulled from Edward Norton's Hulk.
Yes. It's interesting that Hulk has been the one that has been recast 3 times.
Well, I mean, he's been consistent throughout the films ever since the Phase 1, so.
Right, yeah.
You know.
Once they got it figured out, they were like, oh yeah, we should have just gone with Mark Ruffalo all along. Like, what happened, casting?
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And make sure to subscribe to New Rockstars if you haven't already. Subscribe here as well, please, and hit the vote up button to let YouTube know that you're enjoying what you're watching.
The vote up button?
Yeah, upvote.
Upvote, okay,
Upvote.
yeah.
Thumbs up. Vote it up. Hit the like button.
Yes.
Smash that like button.
Hulk smash.
Hulk smash that like button.
I can't believe I just did that. Okay, yeah.